Good morning. My name is Nicole Osee. My pronouns are she and her, and I serve on the Fellowship Board of Directors. Welcome to everyone today, whether you are joining us on site or online. If this is your first or your 100th time with us, we're delighted you are here. The best way for newcomers to get more information is to sign our virtual guest book, either via QR code on your bulletin or at the welcome table in the fireside room. Everyone, please stick around for coffee and conversation after the service. Online folks, you too have an opportunity for conversation. Just stay in the Zoom room. Our only announcement today is introducing our guest speaker. I'm probably gonna mess up your last name, huh? Dufford, okay. Courtney Dufford is the lead organizer of AMOS, a Mid-Iowa organizing strategy. UUFA is one of the 40 member organizations of AMOS. Together, we develop citizen leadership, strengthening local institutions, and working for justice in the community. Courtney has organized for AMOS's sister organizations in the Industrial Area Foundation in Seattle, Las Vegas, and now here with AMOS since 2020. Thank you, Courtney, for being here with us today.
No, that's all I know. Except that so this crowd would be. I don't know. I have it where. When house was. Little entertainment. Tea, please. A tea. Now I walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above and below me. Now I walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above and below me. Now I walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above and below me. Beauty is behind me, above and below me.
We come together to renew our faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life, to reaffirm the way of the open mind and the full heart, to rekindle the flame of memory and hope, to reclaim the vision of an earth more fair with all her people one. Blessed be the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human soul, the divine glow in every life. And now in unison, Dr. King said, when it is dark enough, See the stars. We light the stars as a symbol of commitment to curiosity, courage, and compassion, to justice and to peace.
I'll invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing with me, Circle Around for Freedom. We'll sing through this 3 times. For those of you who are familiar, join right in at the beginning. But for those of you who aren't, take a listen and get used to the melody or the harmonies. Around for freedom, circle around for peace, for all of us in circle for freedom, circle for freedom, for the children of our children, we will circle. Circle around for freedom. Circle for freedom. And love for peace. Keep us circle. I invite anyone young or young at heart who would like to come forward for our story today to do so now. All right, you guys know what this is, right? It's our mystery box. Like Super Mario? Kind of. So today I brought some tools in my mystery box. But they're not the kind of tools you'd find in a toolbox. They're tools for imagining and for dreaming and for building a better world. So let's see what's inside. Ooh. First we have a kaleidoscope. Can you hold that for me? What do you see when you look through it? Yeah. Is it one simple thing or lots of colors and patterns that shape? Yep, it changes every time you move it. And our imaginations are like that. It helps us see the world not just how it is, but how it could be. More fair, more kind, more beautiful. Imagination lets us dream big. Let's see what I have next. Ooh, what is that, Evie? Can you show everybody? Can you tell me what's in there? Seeds, that's right. And what can a seed turn into? Flowers, that's right. Or they can turn into trees or food. One small thing can grow into something amazing, but only if we care for it. And ideas are like that too. They start small, but with time and love and attention, they grow into real change. What else do I have here? This was a special gift to me from Quincy this week. Do you want to hold that? Do you want to help me? No? I'll do it. What do we have here? It's a heart. So our heart is to signify love, because you can't have imagination without love. It won't take us very far. When we imagine a better world, it's not just about what we want, it's about what others need too. And compassion keeps us connected. Let's see what else I have in here. What is that? A block made out of what? Legos? Whoops. Holden, can you get those for me? Because imagining, thank you, Holden, is just the beginning. We also have to build piece by piece, day by day together. You can't build a whole world with just one block, right? You can't build a better world alone either. And that's why we work together, just like our friends from Amos who are here today. Yes, could you please hold them for me? Thank you. All right, what else do I have? Does anybody know what this is? It's a very small glow stick, that's right. It's a little light. You guys want to take that one? But sometimes when the world feels unfair or dark, but when we imagine justice, we shine a light on those places. We notice who's being left out, and we find ways to help. So these tools I brought today aren't just for pretend, they're for real life, because imagination is where justice begins. So here's my question for you. What kind of world do you want to help build? A fair world?
A world where everyone is treated equally and no one is left out because of how they look or what they believe in.
A world where everyone's treated equally, no matter how they look or what they believe in? Yes. These are some big dreams, and you already have the tools for whatever it is to make it real. And here ends our story, but not the story, because that part is still growing. Now we'll sing our children to Children's Chapel this morning, where we're going to have some science magic. You do? You can.
We'll now give and receive our offering. The offertory today is half of the non-pledge offering today is going to undue medical debt. The other half is going to support programs here in the fellowship. And if you're visiting today, your presence is gift enough. Thank you. When we gather here, we usually take a few moments of silence together to remember how our lives are connected with one another and to weave together our web of relationship. As we do this, our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened. We can use this shared silence to lift up the names of anyone on our hearts. We'll now sing the response. Okay, Courtney's changed her mind a little bit about the readings. We'll just leave out the Matthew reading. And this is the second one, which is paraphrased from the Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. During the Spanish Inquisition in the 1500s, the monarchs intimidated and killed people who spoke up against royalty. This allowed them to consolidate their power over the people. Within this context, God sends Jesus back to earth to walk among the people again. Jesus comes unobserved and moved about silently. But strangely enough, those who saw him recognized him at once. They were drawn to him by an irresistible force as soon as there was a crowd. He begins to perform miracles, allowing a blind man to see again and raising a young girl from the dead. The cardinal, the Grand Inquisitor, watches Jesus doing this with concern. He orders his guards to seize Jesus. The Grand Inquisitor's power is so great, the people are so submissive and tremblingly obedient to him that they all open up a path for the guards. The people watch in silence as Jesus is hauled away and locked in a cell. That evening, the Grand Inquisitor comes and berates Jesus. How dare you come back here? Why do you have to interfere and make things difficult for us? When you were last on earth, you gave human beings free will. They didn't want that. All they want is to have bread and entertainment. They want to be told what to believe. What use is freedom for them? They don't want responsibility. The monarchs and I bear that burden for them. We have taken away their freedom and given them happiness. They don't want you. The Grand Inquisitor kicks Jesus out of the city, telling him never to return and meddle again. And now, Courtney Duffy.
Good morning. It's good to be back with you all. I want you to imagine that you're at the farmer's market. You're walking around, you're minding your own business, and you look over your shoulder and you do a double take. Is that Martin Luther King Jr. coming towards you? You've never met him, but somehow deep in your gut, you know it's him. You know that this prophetic teacher, this Martin Luther King, this Gandhi, this Jesus, has come back to earth to walk among us in polarized and isolating times. How would you feel? What would you do? That's the premise of the story of the Grand Inquisitor that Kay shared today by Fyodor Dostoevsky. So in the midst of the Spanish Inquisition, a time in 16th century Spain, when Jews and Muslims were being killed in the name of the king and in the name of the church, Jesus reappears. He walks among the people, he performs healing miracles, and what does this powerful cardinal in the church do? The Grand Inquisitor arrests Jesus and berates him in a prison cell for coming back to earth with a message of freedom that the people don't need and don't want. Do we actually want the free will that prophetic teachers like Jesus and Martin Luther King call us to? That's our question for this morning. Do we really want to be agents in our own lives? And if so, what does it mean if we are the people we've been waiting for? Free will is the ability to choose. In Genesis, or for readers of John Steinbeck's East of Eden, God gives humans the capacity to create, to act, and also the capacity to choose how we do so. The word in Hebrew is timshel, thou mayest. And if thou mayest not. This is free will. Now, this is not a freedom for me to do whatever I want to do that I think is so prevalent in our dominant culture today. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we build covenantal relationships with one another to together discern how we will act ethically in the world. My actions and choices are encumbered within a network of relationships. The Grand Inquisitors of the world exercise their will, and others follow. They are the strong men who want to make the world in their image. The Grand Inquisitors of the world want us all to be the same. There is one way to be, one way to act, their way. They are the legislators who decree which books are allowed and which are banned. They are also the experts who know best. They are the government worker with a PhD certificate on the wall who tells a group of parents and teachers and pastors fighting for better mental health resources for their kids to, you guys just stop causing so much trouble. With a pat on the, metaphorical pat on the head, just be patient. We've got it under control. We're figuring it out. Of course, that's none of us, right? We enlightened Unitarians would never act that way. Grand Inquisitors are out there in the world. They're not in here, in these walls, and they're certainly not in here. Grand Inquisitors are also the longtime church leader who shuts down a new member's idea because that's not the way we do things here. Or, we've tried that before. It's never going to work for you. The Grand Inquisitor is me when I am so busy running around that it just is easier for me to do it all myself, rather than take the time to develop someone else's capacity to grow in that role. Grand Inquisitors treat adults like infants. They deny them their agency and capacity, which is a denial of someone's inherent dignity. Infantilizing and diminishing people is the opposite of what our UU tradition calls us to. In Amos, we have a rule as sacred as the Golden Rule to hold ourselves accountable to how we act with one another. We call it the iron rule of organizing, an iron rule that should never, ever be broken. Does anyone know the iron rule of organizing? What is it? Don't do for others what they can do for themselves. And for some of us, we may need to say never, ever, 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 ever do for others. As many evers as you need, do for others what they can do for themselves. Now, that iron rule does not mean we're calling people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. We're not throwing them the wolves to figure out how to survive by themselves. But the iron rule does mean that we have to really pay attention to one another. What do we each have the capacity and interest to learn and to do? And that changes over the course of our lives. It's not fixed. That is a lot of work. It's quicker to just get the job done than find and train and develop people who are then likely to do something differently than we would have done it ourselves. It's hard work, but a value that is deep within our spiritually seeking faith tradition. I was raised Unitarian Universalist, and in my Sunday school classes, the minister never told us dogmas or creeds that we had to follow or go to hell. We were given the freedom to discern what we believed for ourselves in deep conversation with one another. One Sunday, our question was about what happens when we die. And so the youth and we interviewed a dozen members of the congregation, and every single person had a different answer to that question. There is no one truth for what happens after we die, just as there is no one path for how we should live after we're born. It might be easier to be told what to believe or how to live, but as Unitarian Universalists, the plurality of perspectives and life experiences we each bring enriches and deepens the world we are creating with one another. And because we do that work of creating community together, it means we have to work with other human beings. Now that's a challenge. Everyone has different life experiences, different lived wisdom, different strengths, and also different weaknesses. A covenantal community means we have to figure out how to work with each other. We can't be a dictator, we can't be a grand inquisitor imposing one view on the world. We live in a plurality. Free will requires that we take responsibility for figuring out our actions in that complicated, messy world. Now, it's far easier to critique from the sidelines than it is to act. You don't have to be responsible for the inevitable imperfections or unintended consequences that happen when we act in the world. Our actions will never be perfect. People will criticize you for doing too much and for not doing enough. We will make mistakes and have to be accountable for them. We have to deal with tension, and that can be uncomfortable. In the early days of the pandemic, Amos leaders were having weekly meetings to talk with one another about what we were hearing families dealing with. Story after story began to emerge about people who had lost their jobs and were struggling to access unemployment benefits through Iowa Workforce Development. We were hearing stories from Spanish-speaking immigrant leaders and also immigrant navigators in the Burmese community who were spending 4 hours on the phone for each of their clients trying to get through the phone system because the English-only website and phone system was completely inaccessible for non-English speakers. And so as an Amos team, we got together and we figured out we needed to do something about this. We didn't just come with a critique. We began to develop a strategy about what it would look like to be better. And we decided that we needed Iowa Workforce Development to hire 100 more workers to deal with the call volume. We had some very specific asks about how to make the website and their phone system more accessible so that non-English speaking folks could get access to this system. We had a meeting with Iowa Workforce Director Townsend to talk about this. Now, in that first meeting, she told us, everything is fine, no problems here. Now, how do you think the folks who were spending 4 hours a day on the phone with their clients felt when they heard that? Very angry. And so we decided not to stop there. This was in the early days of the pandemic. We didn't know that Zoom had a maximum limit, which we found out when we organized 100 people into a Zoom meeting. Turns out that was the max for our free account. We had a dozen state legislators, and we had the press. And all of those folks were on a Zoom meeting with the folks who were dealing with access to unemployment benefits day in and day out. And we got the commitments from Iowa Workforce Director Townsend to all 3 things that Amos was asking for. Yes, yes. And in 2 weeks, she had followed through on all 3 of them. We were watching, we knew. Now, all of that was a huge win, And it was life-giving to be an agent for change at a time when the world felt completely overwhelming, when so many of us, when I felt very powerless. Now, a couple weeks after this, I was talking to one of the pastors that I work with who hadn't been involved in this effort, right? They were kind of testing out whether they wanted to be part of Amos. And I was telling her this story, which I found very inspiring, I was very proud of. And this woman said to me, well, that's not really that significant. You should have gotten them to hire 200 people. Not acting, staying on the sidelines, staying silent is also an exercise of free will. It is easier to let someone else make decisions. Let them deal with the messiness and imperfections of the world than to jump into the fray yourself. Thou mayest, and thou mayest not. But that silence, that inaction, can often be the most insidious form of oppression. It's easy to be against what we see in the world. Freedom requires us to create, not just to critique. It means we have to bring our imagination and energy into the world. The cost of a critique is a creative solution. Prophetic teachers call us to more than basic survival. The worth and dignity of every person, a say in the democratic process, a life where all people can flourish. I think our youth said it pretty well this morning around what their imagination is for this world. So, how do you want to exercise your particular strengths in this world? What do you want to work for? Maybe you want to make Ames a place where people can afford to both live and work. Maybe you want to add your voice to the choir and unleash more beauty into this space. Maybe you want to mentor and support new members to engage fully in the life of the fellowship. Now, I know this can mix it up a little bit, but we are going to take some time now to turn to one another and have conversations. It wouldn't be an Amos gathering if I didn't encourage you all to talk with each other. So we're going to take about 5 minutes, and I want you to find someone you don't know as well. Feel free to stand up and move around. On Zoom, we're going to unmute your microphone so you can engage with one another. And I want you to share what you want to work for. What do you want to use your human agency for in this world, in this fellowship, in this community? Good? Okay, take a couple minutes, move around, I'll call you back. Great. So, we are the ones we've been waiting for. But exercising our free will is hard. It takes imagination, ability to deal with tension and ambiguity, and it is never, ever done. Now, I first encountered this story of the Grand Inquisitor after a string of failures. I was living and working in Beirut, Lebanon, in an apartment that didn't have reliable running water. In Beirut, they don't have a municipal water system. There we go. Could you all hear everything I said before, or should I start again? Okay. In Beirut, they don't have a municipal water system. And so you were at the whims of your landlord to fill up a tank of water on the top of your building. Now, our landlord was not doing that. And so it meant that my roommates and I had to buy gallons of water and lug them up the stairs and heat them over the stove to take bucket showers week after week after week in the middle of a Lebanese winter. And I always felt dirty. I just could never get warm and I could never get clean. And so my roommates and I decided to act. We decided that we were going to withhold our rent until the landlord started providing us water. Perfectly reasonable, right? Well, she didn't think so. She showed up at our door one day with a Lebanese police officer with a very large gun and started screaming at us in Arabic. And we got evicted on Christmas Day. My roommates and I had tried to stand up for ourselves, and we got squashed. And I hated that feeling of powerlessness. I was choosing to act, and I wanted to learn how to actually win when I did. Organizing with the Industrial Areas Foundation, and now here with Amos in central Iowa, has given me training on how to stand up effectively to the Grand Inquisitors of the world. And also a community that holds me accountable to not act in that way myself. Remember in the story that Kay shared, how none of the people stood up to the power of the Grand Inquisitor, how they silently let his guards through and silently let them take Jesus away. It is incredibly hard to stand up to that kind of power alone. But imagine if there had been 5 people in that crowd who had locked hands and stood together and said no. Or even, we don't think this is quite right, not even a solid no. Imagine if they had kind of turned to their neighbors in that crowd and say, are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? Like, what if we did something about this together? How might the story have been different? How might our world be different? Amos is a process to actively organize citizen agency. Democracy is a verb. It's not a noun, and it is never done. It's not fixed. We have to constantly choose to act out democracy day in, day out, locally as well as nationally. The nearly 40 member institutions of Amos, including UUFA, engage ordinary citizen leaders, not to do for, but acting with one another. Together, we have the collective power to act and win on the issues most pressing to families: mental health care services for kids, job training resources, supportive housing, prenatal care, and more. In Amos, there are opportunities for citizens to try out different roles in public life and choose new ways of acting together. In January, Amos launched a housing organizing campaign with 70 citizen leaders standing together to say too many of our loved ones and neighbors are facing housing instability, and we want to do something about it. UUFA was the largest delegation in the room. Were any of you there? Yes. We know there will be no silver bullet to fix the housing problems in Ames, and that it will take diverse perspectives, imagination, and lots of organized people to make housing more accessible for everyone. On May 6th, UUFA will be hosting their final Zoom Housing Civic Academy from 6 to 7:30 on Zoom. This is a time to learn about the state of housing in this community, add your voice to the conversation, and join in acting with others. Then, on Sunday, June 8th, UUFA is hosting a community-wide meeting to share back what's been learned from hundreds of these housing conversations across the Ames community and begin to identify concrete, winnable, and likely imperfect solutions to improve housing in Ames. Amy Harris and I will be having a sign-up sheet and more information about how to get involved after the service. We hope you'll join us. It is joyous, creative work to choose to act together and make our democracy that much stronger. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
Please rise in body or spirit and sing "We'll Build a Land" with me.
before we extinguish the chalice, I should say something I forgot to mention before, which is that at 11:15 today in room 3, there will be a service of silent witness where people that want to share their joys and concerns can attend. We extinguish flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now, we've got so many gratitudes today. First of all, to Courtney Dufford. And to her companies, Peggy Earnshaw. And to my fellow facilitator, Sarah Carlson. And to the treat bringers and everybody. And of course, the women in the round. There's probably loads of people I've forgotten. 10 people, of course. Deborah Kumar, thank you. Anyone else I forgot? Okay.